Hello, I'm Katrina Bullock for the Finance News Network, and joining me from XTEK is Managing Director Philippe Odouard. Philippe, welcome to the network.
Yes, thank you very much, Katrina.
Now, XTEK is quite a unique ASX company specialising in homeland security. For investors out there who might be a little new to XTEK, could you start with giving us an introduction to the company?
Well, the company is actually has been listing on the stock exchange for a while. We, as you said, we specialise in frontline equipment for the soldier, typically. We do a lot of work in terms of drones on one side and protective equipment on the other. We are importing some of it, but we've developed our own technology, especially in the protection side of things, where we have a world best protection technology for ballistic plates on one side and helmets on the other. Maybe I can say a couple of words on the present atmosphere in the world with the coronavirus in particular. We are in an area that is has little been affected by this crisis. We are not in tourism or in retail. We're mainly doing government supply. The government has been very active in terms of buying, shown by the number of announcements we've made in the last few days for new contracts that we've signed. In general terms, our supply chains are doing fairly well. I mean, we're working it very hard because we have equipment and material coming from all over the world. But in general terms, it's not affecting us at this stage. And so in general terms, I think we can say we're doing reasonably well. When I see the rest of the world collapsing around us, we're very, very strong. So we are very optimistic.
Now, turning to your first half 2020 results, could you take us through the highlights?
So the first half has been pretty good. We had about $16 million worth of sales compared to $9 million last year. So it's a very big increase, which is unusual. Typically, the first half of the year tends to be very subdued. We normally get a lot of orders during the first half and deliver them in the second. So that means the overall results have been low as we expected. But the second half should be strong as last year. We expect similar, if not a bit better, sales compared to last year, which I remind you was at $37 million.
Thanks, Philippe. Now turning to your products, could you tell us a bit more, starting with armour?
So armour on one side is we have a process that we've developed for quite a few years, for about 12 years, and it gives you a product that gives you much better ballistic performance for the same weight, and that's for plates that you put on the back and the front of the soldier or the police forces, as well as helmets. And in terms of helmets, we're doing helmet protection for AK-47 rounds, which is quite unique in the world. So we're pushing that very hard. And we'll come back on some of this a bit later. But it's being a world best, we are pushing very hard on the US market, which by definition is the biggest in the world. And there is a huge interest for our products because they're definitely the best available on the market.
And what about your advanced composites? How are they faring?
Advanced composite is probably a bit, we use the same process, which is used for ballistics, and that has some particular applications in the space industry. So we've signed a number of MOUs with the Australian Space Agency, with a company making satellites as well, very well adapted for that kind of industry.
And what about drones? With the onset of COVID-19, there's been a lot of talk in the media about the use of drones for delivery and sort of other things. How's your drone products progressing?
Well, the drones, we've now been delivering drones for the past 3-4 years to the Australian Army. We have a very large contract worth about $40 million that we're delivering. We're about 2/3 of the delivery through. We have a maintenance contract for this worth about the same amount on the next 5 to 7 years. So it's actually it's a very large contract for us, and compared to the 37 million we did last year. It's very significant. How they're going to use it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they have particular applications that are in that area, but the use is actually massively increased in the past few years in terms of having an intelligence and surveillance and reconnaissance capability in the battlefield using those drones. They're now central to these to the operation of an army. So it is very encouraging, and what we've delivered is actually a very, very good drone.
Thanks, Philippe. And now turning to strategy and your share price, could you provide a comment on each?
Well, our strategy is to launch all that activity in terms of helmets and plates. For that we've developed the process on one side. We've put together a factory that we inaugurated in February. We have bought a company in the US called HiCom that is distributing and manufacturing armor equipment, so that gives us access to the US market by having a US company involved in this. So we've done a lot of work to sort of make sure that we can grasp that particular market, which is the biggest in the world, and it's a very, very fast-growing market when you have a particularly unique product like we do. Share price wise, well, I mean, anyone at the present time trying to say that they're managing their share price is, I think, maybe disappointed. We're doing reasonably well, slightly better than the market. Certainly, we are a very strong defensive sort of a share, which
in every sense of the word.
The day the economy rebounds, we should be first in line. And today it's actually a lot better than what the rest of the market is doing. So in those times it's really hard to sort of brag about it, but it's a really good steady thing because we have strong markets, strong products, and international reach. So I think it's a good position to be in.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, Philippe, any final words for investors?
We're there in a market that is growing very fast. Remember that the defense market in the West in general is pushing towards 2% of GDP when it was a lot less not that long ago. The US is actually quite strong on that as well. We're not really affected by the coronavirus at this stage. So, in general terms, I'd like to say that we should be a very good investment for people.
Philippe Odouard, thanks for the update.
Thank you very much, Katrina.